It is Friday, August 12th, and my name is Bill McCamley. I'm a state representative from Las Cruces and Mesilla with your legislative update for the day. As many of you may have heard, I think it was yesterday or the day before, the governor of the state has asked all state agencies to cut 5% of their spending for the rest of the year from their budgets. And this is because the revenue that is coming into the state from taxes is a lot less than we estimated back in January and February. So how does this work? We create a budget for the year at the state based on certain estimates. And here in New Mexico, a big part of those estimates is what is the price of oil and gas. Somewhere between 35 and 30% of state revenue comes either directly or indirectly from taxes on the oil and gas industry. And the estimates were that we would be up around $50 a barrel now, and it would sustain itself. Well, right now we're at about $42 a barrel. It did hit 50 a couple months ago, but went back down again. And that means good news for you at the pump, where you're paying $2 a gallon, is bad news for the state. And that means we can't fund certain things. And we don't know what that's going to look like yet. But we do have an idea based on what happened before. So the budget this year was actually a pretty big cut over what happened last year. And there were 3 concrete examples of what happens when we can't meet our projections. So first of all, at New Mexico State, they're actually firing people. I was over at the engineering college a couple days ago, meeting with the new dean, and he was like, well, we're meeting with you and this is great, but in half an hour I got to start giving out pink slips. And there are a certain amount of people at MSU that are getting the axe, which really sucks for our community in many different ways here in Las Cruces, where the university is. Secondly, Las Cruces Public Schools they didn't have to actually fire anybody, but they had to readjust their budget, and they have a certain amount of teachers retire every year. They weren't able to hire the same amount of teachers that they need to keep class sizes where they're at. So this year, going into the schools, there will actually be more students per classroom than there were last year. And this usually means that the education quality for our students is less. Also, for those of you that watch these, you know that I'm very passionate about veterans services, and that a bunch of money was cut from the state Veterans Department, which went to homeless veterans services here in Las Cruces to help with mental health, counseling, and placement services for homeless vets. Now, we were able to come up with some money to replace those cuts through private donations and the city, but that's not sustainable. And if we cut more, are we going to be able to continue these programs, which let us get to functional zero homeless veterans here in Las Cruces, which is a great accomplishment. So there may actually be a special session. As many of you know, we only meet generally once a year to make real decisions as a legislature. We have interim committees, but those are more informational. But we may have to come together and say, how do we adjust the budget as a legislature? Now, there are talks going on between Senate Democrats, who are power over there, and the governor, who's a Republican. And we're probably going to wait for the August revenue estimates to come in before deciding on going back up there. And the rumor I'm hearing is looking at around the second week of September to do this. And this is a political football. Right now, no one wants to call this, right? Because it's only going to be bad news. It's only going to be cuts. And that's tough to take politically, especially 2 months before an election. There are 2 ways this can happen. The legislature can call itself into session, but it requires the majority of legislators to sign a petition asking us to do this. That's probably not going to happen if the governor doesn't want it, because the governor is pretty close with the Republicans that control the House of Representatives. Or the governor can call a special session, and like I said, it's probably going to be up to her whether or not this happens. The problem for me is very simple. The solution so far to this problem has been slash and burn. We're going to cut. And you've heard 3 hard examples of where people get hurt by this. I will not vote for any budget that does not include revenue increases. And you can look at various types of examples for that. We can legalize marijuana, which in Colorado is going to pull probably in $140 million of revenue this year. You can look at getting rid of some tax credits and tax cuts that have put into place. An example I always use is capital gains. If you make money on capital gains, so the stock market or other investments, you only pay half the taxes that someone working at a job pays. And getting rid of that tax break, which 75% of it goes to the top 10% of New Mexicans, would raise $50 million a year. And so these things have to be considered, in my opinion. And I will really oppose any more just straight up slash and burn where we're cutting more education and cutting more services for veterans and the like that. So that's basically where we're at. I just wanted to let everybody know. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, as always, on these or any other issues, I would love to hear from you. Thanks, and I hope everyone has a lovely weekend. Bye.